Welcome to Crazy Canuck Truckin' Podcast. This would be episode number 21, folks. Thank you ever so much for joining us today. We have a fabulous guest to visit with. And first things first, I want to introduce my co-host, David. Go right ahead.
Hey, Size Matters. This is a Crazy Canuck Dave. It's good to be back with everybody again. And I think we're going to have a great show again today, as usual. So what do we have on tap, Bridget? Do we have some comments that have come in?
There are a few things, and let's not forget, anytime you all send comments, you are more than welcome to do that, whether you follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Crazy Canuck Truckin', or you can email us at crazycanucktruckin@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Crazy Canuck Truckin' on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating whenever you do that on any of the platforms that you listen to our podcast, maybe if it's Apple Podcasts, etc. So make sure you're doing that. Then what we've got going on today, first of all, I want to use the 10 code 1025. That is a can you contact, because I think after we are done with our interview today, folks may want to talk to our guest. But before we get there, we have some other things to share. Apparently, people really enjoyed our interview with Amber. And so that would have been episode 19, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to just launch the first one here. And it says, so cool, Amber is on the program. Funny, small world, as I started following her because she was a Canadian race car driver. Then it came up on your feed too. And that was from Ted on Twitter. So thank you, Ted. Greatly appreciate your comments. David, are there others?
Yeah, there is others. And that was pretty cool of Ted to send that in to us. And it is a small world, you know, and so we don't just do for trucking, but race fans, you know, we can bring anybody on here, and because it's our program, right? We don't have to be stuck in any one thing.
Yeah.
So we had another comment, and it said, the commenter says, just finished watching episode 19.
Oh, watching. This must be a YouTube person. I just want to point that out. Okay.
And I happen to know this person is a little bit on the older side, and he'll really appreciate me telling this. But
okay,
if he can figure it out, everybody else can figure it out. So he was watching on YouTube, and he said, a little different, more about sprint car racing than trucking. Glad you were able to work in some mental health suggestions. Amber is certainly an enthusiastic person. Hope she does well this year with no accidents. And that was sent in by KMH via email. So that was pretty cool. So, and I know there was others, but those are the two we're going to read today.
I got to tell you right now, I hope Amber has a fantastic season and she doesn't have any wrecks either. That would be awesome.
Their season is almost ready to start as we're recording this. So by the time it comes out, she'll be out in the West Coast and she'll be racing. It's really cool. So,
well, speaking of getting a start to things, David, how about if you introduce our guest for today?
We are going to have a young guy on from Manitoba, and he drives for Bison Transport. His name is Mario Tyshuk. Mario, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for having me here with you guys. I'm very happy to be here.
We are happy to have you here. And just by the way, I happen to live in North Dakota. So I happen to know that a lot of the Bison Transport drivers come through my neighborhood, specifically drivers coming out of Saskatchewan, Manitoba. But fascinatingly enough, your accent seems a little bit different than the guys I normally hear out of Winnipeg. Why is that, Mario? Where'd you grow up?
Okay, yes, good catch. I am.
She's our linguistics person. You know, she knows. She can pick up on the accents.
And yes, I am from Europe, from Poland, and that's where I grew up. And here I am in Canada. It was always dream to actually. Let me put this that way. It was my dream come true to come to North America and travel across North America. And here I am in Winnipeg, in cold Winnipeg, and enjoying the the best job I can ever have, to be truck driver.
So how long have you been in Canada? Give us a little background on young Mario.
Oh,
What did you do in Poland? What was childhood like? I've never been there. I'm curious to hear what it was like.
I am in Canada on 20 now years coming, and
20 years?
back in Poland, back in Poland is the thing is in Europe, let's say, not only Poland but Europe is those roads are very small, parking is small, cars are small. What is small? Even in restaurant, portions are smaller. Okay, we have everything small. Here we have everything big. It's much more easy. Tracking is easy. Driving is easy. The roads are bigger. If you look in this way, the country is bigger too. Okay, we have from coast to coast 5,000 kilometers, and I'm sorry, 5,000 miles. And back in Europe is I believe Poland is 700 kilometers, just
Wow.
only size from south to north, right? And again, it's just the size. Everything is just like bigger. And the impression when I remember I'm landing back then in Winnipeg terminal, and I see from the airplane coming down, and I see, and I'm thinking, this is my promised land. This is the land where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. And I was feeling so lucky. And you know what? After this so many years here, I still feel lucky.
Wow.
That's how I feel right now. After so
So
many years here.
how you came 20 years ago? How old were you when you immigrated?
Well, that'll be around 30ish.
Okay.
Yes, and that was the decision was. I just decided to do something else and see myself somewhere else, and it was just like try temporary job, be a truck driver back in Europe, and I just find out myself I can do it, and after a while driving in Europe, I just emigrate here, which is if you see the industry over in Europe and here is, I think, industry facing different challenges. We have different challenges here in North America, and different challenges are there. As a driver, as an industry, and I believe they are a little bit similar, but they are different. And most important, we sharing pretty much the same culture. In Europe, they facing different challenges regarding so many countries, and they have to speak the same language towards industry. Then this is challenging, right? And every country have different regulations, right? Which drivers go through every single day, because you can go 500 miles during the day, and you go and cross 3, 4, 5 countries, and every country have different regulations. And years back, it was the borders where they were define what you can, what you cannot do. And these days is just only you have available just on the internet, and you have to find out what you can, what you cannot by yourself, right? And needless to say, it is no borders anymore, right? And the clearance, customs clearance is different, and then you just back. And then, yes, this is the challenges what they're facing there. Here in North America, we have a little bit different, everything set up, and really much more easy and friendly for the truck driver. Pretty much, he doesn't feel it, besides the stopping at the customs and saying hi to the customs officer, going through the process, 5 minutes process, and carry on with his day, right? And it's just a little bit different.
So I want to make sure to recap for folks, when you mentioned some of the challenges versus trucking in Europe versus trucking in North America, language is a big barrier. Then the regulations between countries. And you said you have to find out those regulations on your own, which makes me wonder, are you working for trucking companies primarily in Europe, or are you an independent driver? And therefore, it's like you said, it's up to you to find out what those regulations are versus someone within your trucking company doing that work for you.
Well, if you go and look back, and if I'm going to look back, I don't know how everything is right now, but when I was there, it was just simple. The driver had the key. He's doing the job. He's going to get the where he's going to load it, unload it, and pretty much it was up to driver everything to do everything. That's the office did not provide any information back then. Right now, probably the things are changed, and for better, I believe so. I'm hoping so. They are better than years back. Okay, and for us here, it's like I'm going to mention again. It's just much more easy where employer and companies they provide with all information. We have trucking industry adjust to the current situation, and the simple example where is COVID right now, pandemic, and industry step in so fantastic and helping the drivers as much as they can to survive. Okay, and this is the example what we have right now, where trucking industry is behind the truck drivers and helping them out, and the trucking associations too, right? And yes, that's how it is.
So when you were trucking in Europe then, and you're from Poland, and you spoke about the language barriers, how did that work for you? Like, that's something that here in North America, we don't give enough credit to drivers coming in from other countries, because, drivers coming in from Africa, they have to know or understand 5 or 6 different languages. People from India have to understand several different dialects, and unfortunately, we stereotype people that come from another country and their English isn't perfect. And there's too many people that look down on foreigners for that reason. But for a lot of people that come to North America from another country, they already know several languages or understand enough to get by. And we are really slack in that department compared to Europe. So how was it for you? Like, how many languages did you have to kind of understand something of it when you were trucking in Europe?
Fortunately for me is I can adopt and I can learn quickly language when I was younger, of course, right? And my goal was 5 languages. I did learn, and I can right now. I don't know how much I remember, okay, but back then it was for me. I could communicate in 5 languages, okay.
Wow.
And for drag, right now, you mentioned back what the challenges are for the fresh immigrant coming into the country, and the challenges are huge. The first is the communication. Second, he's away from his family back in his country. Now either he's alone here and his family, his own family will follow
later
back here, or he just have already family and he just come here. But the fact is when you come here, you just feel alone, just like lonely, alone, and what next? Okay, now if you're lucky if you know enough language. Now if you'll find yourself not to have enough words to express yourself or ask for help, now is challenge. Okay, now on the top of it, as we know, trucking is not that easy, of course, right? You're facing every single day different challenge. Every day is different, and that requires to know English, right? And that's the base. And And yes, it is in this industry. It is everyone thinking is yeah, you have to know, you have to do this. Well, when you come to country, you immigrate is for the reason you're looking for the better life. Then once you find yourself in the country, you find your new friends, you find the family away. And lucky me, in my case, I find a fantastic company to drive for is the Bison Transport. And I feel like I'm lucky because I have two families, one at home and one at work, and I wish everyone could have the same experience, face the same experience. Is just have two families, one at work, one here, which is lead me to to the question: if we, as a society, we do everything what is possible to our drivers, new immigrants, new drivers, to help them to adopt in the new situation. Here in Bagan, Manitoba, of course, we have many resources, but I always thinking this way: we can do better. We can do it, and we can do better. Yes.
When it comes to, you mentioned trucking associations and being able to do better. Were there trucking associations that you worked with in Europe, and were they helpful or less helpful than the trucking associations you might work with here in Canada?
Trucking associations back in Europe, they are more like for the companies, or not for the drivers, I would say.
Okay.
Then here home is opposite. We stand. It's not only driver. The driver have behind him trucking association, where he can ask questions, and he will have the help there. Okay, and this is the difference. And like I mentioned before, we can do better. And what do I mention? Why do I mention that is okay? We have some associations, but we as a person, we can do better. If you see someone who need help, instead judging, is how about to tell him, hey, can I help you? Instead sharing crazy picture of someone lost in the middle of the nowhere because he's followed the GPS, let's say. Instead that, just how about just simple, hey, can I help you? Is there any way I can help you? And each one of us can do better that way. It's just instead, just simple, ask and help. That's what I'm thinking. Okay.
I think that's a huge point, because as someone who's a driver in a pickup on the road, I naturally assume, and we all know that assuming is bad, but I naturally assume that that driver knows where they're going and knows what they're doing. And I don't think about the fact that they might just be new. So that's a really great point for us as passenger vehicle drivers. That person in that truck might be just as new as we are to that area.
That's a really good point, Mario, that, we so quickly assume that everybody knows everything. You go up to a driver at a truck stop, and instead of giving a guy a hard time or a lady a hard time over something that they've done, maybe they just don't know. Like in Canadian truck stops, there's hardly ever do you find lines painted on the ground showing you where you can park and where you can't park. And if you don't know that truck stop and you're the only one in there, you may be parked at a weird angle, and everybody else coming in is like, wow, what's the matter with this person? How come they can't,
Very good point. Absolutely.
And
Yes.
instead you go up to them and say, buddy, this is how we usually park here. Oh, great. Thanks. People appreciate that usually, but that's such a good point that you brought up, Mario, that you have to be a help to people instead of just judging them right away.
I'm going to give you an example, my own example. How about that?
We like examples.
Imagine me years back, I was sent through the Buffalo border. Okay. As you know, in Buffalo, it's just like, holy moly, right? This is everything is like.
That is not my favorite place. Bridget, you do
Absolutely.
not want to
So-
go there for a first time by yourself.
You're saying that a port of
Buffalo,
entry is a
New York.
little bit tough versus maybe, say, Pembina in North Dakota might be a lot more straightforward.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And being there and see the road and where you have to report, and I'm approaching very slow. The roads are just like, holy moly. I see the lines changing, everything. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do now, right? Now, back then, it's just like we have so many tools that can help, right? Back then, I have no phone, none, no phone.
Mhm.
I have a phone card says 1-800 number and to my company. Okay. Now you have just Atlas and says that's where the border is supposed to be. Okay. Then that's how I learned. And I did not have the opportunity to have an instructor on the passenger side saying, hey, this is what you can do, or this is the road you take, and that's what you're going to expect. It's coming. Okay. Then I learned everything just on my own, and just that's why I'm just so value the fact is over the years I just get the experience, and at one point I just decide to say no, I can keep my experience just to myself, and I become in-scope instructor with my company, with Bison Transport, to share my experience, right? Then over the years I trained on many drivers, newcomers too. Okay, show them the best way I can myself, pass my knowledge, and the best I can show them how to survive. Because this is not only the driving fact, but where to choose to parking, how to eat healthy to stay longer in the industry and provide the family, right? And how to stay active. How to prepare yourself for the border crossing and choose the best road. Sometimes that is very important with the traffic what we have these days, right? Now, and most important, how to most fuel efficient driving during the day, where the company will be beneficial for it. Now, then I decided, and I was for a while in-cab instructor with Bison Transport, and that was the best time in my career, though, meeting so many new drivers and enjoying the company, though, right?
Yeah.
And now
You're being a life coach. That's kind of what you're doing, is you're helping these people learn how to do this job from your perspective, because you were in their shoes. You're a life coach to them.
that's yes, I would. Yes, that's correct. Yes, it's just the tracking is not only tracking, is a lifestyle. Okay, and that's correct. It's just like showing them the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Bridget, you know how I met Mario first? Was that not on?
You asked him where you should park at a truck stop. That's how you met him, right?
Yeah, that was the one. I was like, I ran up to this guy and I was yelling at him. No, I wasn't. So Mario is not just a guy, not just a life coach that, like you hear the expression, those that can't teach,
Yeah.
Well, Mario's not like that. Okay. He not only tells people how they can do things, he shows them and he does it. And I know this because the first place I've met Mario was at the Manitoba Truck Driving Championships. And every year he's there, that they're open, and every year he represents Bison really well. And Bison has hundreds and hundreds of drivers. And not every Bison driver is there every year, because it's not just easy to get in to drive at the championships. So it really speaks, and you have to have a clean record. So you can't have anything happen during the year. And so then drivers will rotate in and out of Bison, the Bison team. But there's Mario every year, always has a smile on his face, always comes over and talks to me. And I think maybe that's because we never compete in the same class. You know, is that why, Mario? You know, you still like me because we don't compete in the same class?
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. What can I say? My goodness.
He's always got a smile, always greeting other people from other companies. Runs a, you know, that's so important. He really is an ambassador of our industry.
So my question there is, how many years have you done that drivers championship, Mario? How often have you been there as part of the team?
Wow, that's a good question, but I don't remember. It's not too many, to be honest.
Oh, congratulations then.
Yeah, but I don't remember. Oh my goodness, this is
it's at least 10, isn't it? At
hold
least
on,
10.
yeah. I have to turn around. I have some.
Look at all the plaques in the background.
Yeah, I think it is many. Okay.
It's many. I like that.
I don't know. I don't really remember now.
You only get a plaque if you place in the top 3.
There you go. I was going to say there's got to be a reason why you get the plaque, and you just said you only get the plaque if you're in the top 3. And I see at least 5 of them back there. Yep.
Yes, it's just the years, many years.
Okay, many years.
He's in a class that has a lot of people. Like he's got a lot of stiff competition. Mm-hmm. So kudos to you, Mario. I've always appreciated that with you. I've always appreciated that you come up. I don't know why you even came up and talked to me in the first place, but you came up and started talking to me, and it's been a good friendship.
Must be your smile and personality, okay? And your knowledge about the industry, where it's attract me, where I like to learn about the industry, and you were the source where just you know a lot, and I learned from you a lot. Okay.
See, Bridget, I can fool people. Mm-hmm. Even as they're older, I can fool people.
I understand. Totally understand what you're saying. Okay. So I have other questions. When you mentioned crossing into the U.S. at the port at Buffalo, New York, not a lot of fun to do that. How often do you come across the border into the U.S.?
Okay, that depends. That depends from the freight,
right?
Because in Bison Transport we have Canada only drivers, also cross-border drivers. Now, if you're going, let's say, to Los Angeles and back, which I used to be on the long haul, then you go on once a week, give or take, right? And not necessarily you crossing at the same port as you go south. Let's say perhaps you're going from Winnipeg, you're going to Los Angeles, you could cross in Manitoba, in Emerson, and the next, 5 days later, you're crossing back in Sweetgrass or in the BC, right? It's just depends where you're going back right now.
Okay.
That can be 6-7 times, let's say, per month. And the short haul, you do it twice a day, right? It's just hard to say.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It will vary quite a lot. Okay.
What kind of a run are you doing these days, Mario?
Okay, I used to do the long haul right now. For now, I do run between Green Bay and Winnipeg for now. And just before, like I said, it was open board, which means pretty much everywhere. Texas, California, Florida. I love those Floridas. Listen, Miami. Oh, Miami. Yes. I love those runs. I remember my first crocodile when I went there. I remember the first crocodile when I see at the truck stop. It is when you enter to Florida. It was a lake besides the truck stop. And I see just crocodile there. What the heck? I'm thinking for me from Europe, see just something like this that was just wow, right? Or during the pre-trip, I see snake between my tires. Okay, then yes,
So that is
very
horrible.
exciting.
You need to
Yeah.
understand that you just talked about snakes, and I have to go faint now. I'll be better, but it's just horrible. I don't like snakes.
Especially after what we saw on Twitter this week.
What we saw on Twitter this week.
You're remembering size matters? The
Do I
sheep?
have to? Oh, somebody had a snake in the wool on their sheep, and they were pulling the snake out of the sheep's wool, which means I would have had to shoot the sheep and the snake. It would have been horrible. I'd had to burn down the barn. Everything would have gone bad. That was awful. That is not right. So,
You know, when you drive around Texas and Oklahoma and some of these places, they say stay on the pathways because of the snakes and stuff like that. Man, you do not have to tell me twice.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to go cross country when I see signs like that. Like, oh, no, I'll stay on the path. Thank you.
Yep. And the worst is, that's the part when we can adopt what I mentioned before. Drivers are the best in adopting to any situation, anything. This is just weather, industry-wise, adopting ourselves. Even now, pandemic, COVID, we all adapting to the situation all the time so well. We are the best in this, okay? Adopting. And this is part of us adopting, is even the wildlife, there you go, it's just, we adopting. We just listen and adopting, right?
well, and again, you're probably one of the best guys to teach as a life coach how everybody else can adopt as well as you have.
Yes.
Now, okay, not only did you have to adapt to coming into living in Canada from Europe, which there's a change there, but you brought up a point that, it's not just you've left a family behind, and that's very hard until they can get here. How long were you in Canada before your family joined you, and how has their adaptation to Canada come?
Very good point. Is that was not easy. I was here, I believe, 6 months alone. Okay. The process where you come here and you have nothing, pretty much. Okay.
Yep.
Is your knowledge, and you're meeting new people, you make new friends. On the beginning, I was living in a hotel. Okay. And later on, rent a small apartment, and later on, with advice, I just rent the house. And 6 months later, here we go. My back then wife and 2 daughters, they show up, and for them now, this starts too. It's just everything new. And school, and again, for the kids, find the friends. It's just very easy.
Yes, for kids it is.
But then when you're in Turkish, you're busy with your job, and it's no time. It's just and then later on, back then my wife find a job, and we started working together, and towards succeed. Yes, later on we did buy our own house, and get the car, and
there's so many steps that you take as like you said, as everybody gets
there's like so
acclimated.
Much, okay?
Yeah,
it's just like, and the challenges where you don't know where to shopping, the best store where to shop, okay, now,
right.
Or where to go to buy the furnitures, right, where it will be cheaper, not too expensive, right? Everything is like immigrant is just facing so many challenges every day, and it was not much support where we could go and say, hey, what do you think, right? We are just alone here, right? And figure out by your own everything, it was hard. Plus, let me tell you, me be on the long haul, that's not easy too, right? And
Right.
yes, challenges. Yes.
You have family that are, you're long haul and you're in a foreign country and then you're gone all the time. That's hard on the family in a normal situation when we grow up here. But when you're in a foreign country, that's really hard on a family to see Papa gone and gone for a couple weeks at a time or whatever, 2 or 3 weeks at a time in a foreign country. That's not easy. If you were only able to give one piece of advice to an immigrant coming in, this is probably a very tough question. If you could only give one piece of advice to an immigrant coming into Canada or North America, what would that be?
Don't be afraid. Ask for help if you need to. That's all. That will solve all problems in everyone.
Yeah.
In any immigrant. Just don't be afraid. Ask for help. We are Canadians. We are helping each other.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's huge. Asking for help is hard to do. But once you do, my guess is you find a number of people who are willing
to help.
Yes.
And it's life become much more easy.
Yes.
Wow, that was easier than I thought it would be, Bridget. And yet that is so, I wrote that down here. That is really, but that's so true.
Yeah.
I believe this is sometimes in our life, the problems, they appear to be sometimes too big, and we need to only find a moment where we are strong enough to ask for the help. And when you feel that strong enough, you're strong enough, just ask for help. Which leads me to one thing, is another thing where is never mentioned back in any of the countries back in Europe, is the mental health for the drivers. Is back in Europe is nothing. Nobody talked about this, to be honest, back then. I don't know what now. I can't tell, but I am so happy and grateful for people like you, David, about your involvement in trackers, mental health for trackers, where you're speaking loud about and your voice is heard, and I really appreciate the fact you do something for the industry and pointing out very good points where really we need something. We need to do something about this, because tracking later on become very challenging, because we as a human being, it is not designed to be all the time alone. And that's alone, to be all the time alone, it's challenge. It's challenge for everyone. Later on, sooner or later, you will find out that. And this is important part where in tracking, to have a place where you can say, hey, I have a problem. And thank you very, very much, David, for doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you recognizing that, Mario. I know from personal experience that asking for help is extremely tough and is also life-saving. And it literally has saved my life, is to know that I can ask a question, and it doesn't mean I'm weak. It actually means I'm very strong. You mentioned that you have to be very strong to ask for help. And that is so true. So changing gears a little bit here, Mario. CB handles. Do you? We like to have CB handles for our guests. have you got a CB handle? If somebody talks to you on the CB radio, did you ever come up with a CB handle for yourself? Or did somebody come up with one for you, or a nickname?
Yes, it is. It's rapid, okay? Because I'm always just like quick to help, and I'm just always there. And back years, I remember one of the drivers back in England, he said to me, you are like rapid. You're just there. You just rapid. And that's what sticks to me later on. And yeah, that's just rapid. Yes.
Rapid. So like as in fast, not, yeah, rapid.
As a fast. Yes. As a fast.
Yep. It's always on the move is my guess.
That's correct. Yes. Always. Yep. It's just, I believe we have just only limited time on this planet, and whatever we do, we can, we just, if you go and put this that way, we have, if you go and turn the minutes and seconds to the money, don't spend the whole money in the one place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just simple. Then value the money, what you're spending and where. And that's the way how I live. It's just, I'm careful with this.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been really, really good to talk to you, Mario. It's I've really appreciated our friendship over the years, and appreciate what you do in the industry and how you keep working to try and make trucking better and to help not just new people, but old people in the industry. I really appreciate that. So want to thank James Dupree and Dixie Inc. for our music. And thanks again, Mario, for coming on. Bridget, why don't you close us out?
Thanks again, folks, for joining us today. We hope that you go ahead and share this podcast with other friends who might enjoy it. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating when you listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And by all means, reach out to follow us via Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Crazy Canuck Truckin', and email us with your question and comments. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.